Hello and welcome to Heart Explained Therapy. This is fortunate because my client has agreed for me to make this a video. I've had a client a couple of days ago and they've had such a good response to some of the things that I've said. They've asked me to maybe release that on the video to remind themselves but also for other people, so that's very kind of this person to do this. And one of the things that was brought up in the well-being sort of coaching lesson was their constant relationships affecting their feelings, and how one of the examples was a father that would, quite an elderly father, but would constantly ring or say things that affected this individual and the way that they felt. And this was something, when we dug a little bit deeper, it was happening with work colleagues, and basically this person was like an open sensitive wound, and the whole world was just vinegar being poured into it. And it's quite an ugly way to look at it, but I think you can connect with that when you've been a nice character and your sensitivity is actually a bad trait in a sense, and it's something that you have to sort of understand and maybe change the process that you exist in because you're feeling too much negative stuff. And so when we came across this, and I was highlighted to this, my job as a wellbeing coach is to tell you the way that I would perceive what's going on and tell you how you can change your behaviour. You see, you can never change anybody else's behaviour unless you change your behaviour. You see, if you change your behaviour, one, you don't have to change anybody else's behaviour because you have learnt to cope with that. And two, your change of behaviour will actually change the response that you give to the person that he's relating stuff to. So it would accidentally change other people's behaviour, and if it doesn't, like I say, you don't care. One of the examples was that certain individuals would say something and this person would take the information as if they had done something wrong, themselves. Now, what I was able to do was to relate that when you're in a conversation, if you are content and happy and somebody interferes with your feelings, it is a responsible act from you to accept that that person actually hasn't done anything at all. You see, the whole sort of energy and feeling that you have is within. And if someone is really nasty to you and says horrible words, that old saying about sticks and stones may break my bones but words will never hurt me is actually a true sort of average saying, because you can get to the state where nothing affects you. And this doesn't mean that you are hard and ignoring people and like switching off to people and not listening. This is where you're aware of the conversation and how this other person is basically throwing the vinegar at the sensitive open wound. What you have to do is heal yourself. That's you get strong enough to say, right, I'm not having a conversation with somebody who makes me feel uncomfortable. And this is something that I learned actually as a prison officer. You have irate prisoners that will be up here kicking off, saying they want and demand and threaten violence. And the teacher in my 9-week training course said that your job is to bring them down to you, your level. So you would stay calm with the emotion of You will talk and discuss it, and eventually, and this actually worked, you would change the way that the experience is going, where they, within your calmness that you've extracted out, would come down to your level, and eventually it's gone from there to a conversation where you're communicating not on emotions but on now a level playing field, and it's so much easier, it's so much better. And this is a little trick that you can learn to do with everybody. Make somebody go onto your level, as long as your level isn't irrational or emotional. If your level is happy and content, if you get a phone call and it's about that, it's your mum or your dad or that person that, oh God, they're going to irritate me straight away, you are going to just feed off that, and then you're going to repel that back. And it's nothing to do with that person, it's within you already to project that. What you need to do is have 3 seconds. Right, it's that person, I'm going to bring him down to my level of contentment, peace and happiness. And you can do this quite easily. There's another trick that I learnt as a prison officer as well, which is, there's a famous philosopher called Socrates, and he did this questioning that basically highlighted to another individual, I suppose, a question that is not you telling somebody, but you highlighting in a way that they find out for themselves. Now, highlight to the person what their emotion and their words actually feel like, but in a second sort of secondary sense of the world. So it's not, I'm not speaking to you ever again, you really annoy me, you stress me out, you always talk about negative stuff, I've no patience for you, why can't you just be happy? Boom. Basically a conversation that every person has almost every day with somebody. This is why you don't speak to families for years and friends for years, because it's just your belief system and that's it. And that other person is in a world of pain and suffering and being just as unconscious as you. Or there's a way that you can say, what makes you feel that bad? Why do you feel that bad from that? Highlight how you can alter the conversation to, and it's transferring a bit of your emotional desires and what you want out of the conversation. You're giving them over and you're going on into their world, but you're doing it this time by choice, not an emotional reaction, not of running away in the opposite direction. And you're having the time and patience, and eventually this again brings them down to a way that you can converse with people that 9 times out of 10 leave you feeling like crap. Now, this again is a habit that you have to keep doing. If you try it once and it fails terribly and you end up being even more peed off, you've got to keep trying. You didn't fall off a bike and then never got back on the bike. It's something that you have to stick to. You have to learn how to be communicative, and you'll start to spot when actually most of it's coming within. Well, I would argue it's all coming within. I'm not saying bad people don't exist. I'm saying your interpretation of the bad people's words exist more than the bad people. And this is just it's an art and a skill that you can learn. And I'd like to thank the client for suggesting this, because sometimes in the coaching session you can get lost into, you kind of hope that you're saying stuff that is good, but you never really know if the person can sometimes nod and agree with you, but they do it out of politeness, not because they really connect with what I say. These, to have the response that this sort of stuff, this rewriting somebody's thought processes, which is what therapy is really, it's guiding you to a better version of the world than the way that you see it at the moment. And I understand why you see it in that way, because you're at the moment unconscious to any other reality existing. But it's great to know that this sort of stuff works. You can get on with family and friends without a negative feeling or emotion coming from within you based on an external event. And in a way, that's the key to a lot more things than just relationships and just personal conversations. It will build the foundation for a better version of you in all walks of life, and it'll be really good for your mental health as well. And if it's good for your mental health, it's great for your physical health. So I hope you understand the concepts within how the emotional stuff that you're talking about isn't from the external event. It will always be based on your interpretation of that external event. So thanks for the client for allowing me to speak about one of the sessions.